Hey everyone, Dave or EphiTV here. 2 videos in 1 week? When's the last time that happened? Well, I used to cover tons of indie games on this channel, especially indie horror games. Most of those videos weren't too popular, but being a game dev myself, I know how hard it can be to get more eyes on your game, so I decided to sneak in another indie video in between working on some larger content. This week, I got to take an early look at Iron Lung, the latest horror title by the creator of Dusk, Squirrel Stapler, and a whole bunch of other games you may have heard of. As the Steam page states, Iron Lung is a short horror game where you pilot a tiny submarine through an ocean of blood on an alien moon. Sounds pretty interesting, right? Well, I'm happy to say that it is. Despite being less than an hour long with just a few paragraphs of story, the game manages to create an excellently unnerving atmosphere that will undoubtedly stick with you. Now, I'm going to keep this mostly spoiler free because, like I said, you can easily beat it in under an hour, and it works at its absolute best when you don't know what's coming. As you can tell from the visuals so far, you're locked into a low-res, low-poly submarine at the bottom of a blood ocean. All the hatches are closed, so you can't see anything outside without using a rudimentary camera. This camera takes a few seconds to process a single image, so it can't really be used for navigation. Instead, you have to rely entirely on the instruments at the helm, closely watching your coordinates, the map, and your current heading to determine where to go next. Your job is to visit all the marked points on the map and take pictures in each location. This sounds simple at first, but consider that you're maneuvering through this world basically blind, and suddenly everything is a lot more ominous. You can determine your location by matching up your coordinates with a rough position on the map, but it really takes some thinking to visualize your surroundings with no good way to see outside. There's also some proximity warnings when you're too close to an object on any side, which definitely help in determining your actual position in the world. It's a very unique gameplay style that takes a while to get used to, but it did eventually click for me. I do think some people will find this to be unplayable, because not everyone can visualize spaces in their head from numbers alone. But for those who do get a handle on it, everything comes together surprisingly well. Aside from that, you're free to walk about the tiny cabin, investigating your surroundings, putting out fires, and taking pictures at will. Given the horror roots, you can only assume there's something very wrong in this alien blood ocean. I don't think it's necessarily a spoiler to say that. I mean, even the store page shows massive skeletons littering the sea floor. What exactly you'll find is up to you to discover, but I can say that the game does a great job of ramping up the tension to a nerve-wracking final act. There are a bunch of great little tricks done within the limited scope and mechanics that I would mention, but they really need to be experienced blind. You'll hear countless unfamiliar, creepy noises scattered across the sea floor, with hints at things much greater than you beyond those iron walls. Overall, the sound design is excellent. The soundtrack is also quite well done, setting a nicely unnerving atmosphere to amplify everything else happening. If I had to compare this to anything, I'd say it feels like a love letter to Subnautica, with the horror ramped up to 11. It gave me similar vibes to piloting the Cyclops through the darkest depths of the world, using the available systems to avoid collisions and the invisible dangers outside. But despite being super indie, low budget and all that, I think it delivers a very memorable experience. My only complaint would probably be that it felt just slightly too long. I think the sub moved just a little too slow, or the map could have used a point or two less. Around 30 minutes instead of the 45 I took would still sell the whole experience while removing a bit of dead air, but that's just my opinion. Either way, I don't regret playing it, and I think it all came together in a great way at the end. Seriously, big thumbs up on the ending. Totally caught me off guard in the best way possible. Anyways, if you like small indie horror games or Subnautica, I think this would be right up your alley. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you're interested. Like I said before, I just wanted to do a quick indie spotlight in between working on some bigger projects. If you play the game, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments. Or if you have any other indie suggestions, I might check them out at some point. I'm always on the lookout for cool new stuff that deserves a wider audience. Anyways, that about wraps this one up. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see some more stuff like this. Either way, I hope to see you all in the next one.